Good afternoon, everybody. I'm super excited to welcome our players back this morning to start the off-season program. This building is always at its best when it's full of Minnesota Vikings players, and the energy, everything's been awesome this morning. And you can tell guys, new players coming in for the first time, guys that have been here, really good energy in the building, and we're off and rolling. So I know Tyler and Josh Hanks have put together a really good plan, as far as the early part of the program, phase one, where we're just meeting and going through lifting and kind of some stuff on the field with the strength staff. Get them ready to roll for phase two when we can start getting on the grass and coaching a little bit. But we press onward here with the off season. But I'll turn it over to you guys.
Kevin, a lot of seemingly great quarterbacks in this draft. What do you do if you get in a situation where a couple of guys are there? Doesn't seem to be like a hair of difference between the two of them. What's a tiebreaker for you maybe in a situation like that?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, we've got a lot of really smart people in this building, and between Quasey's staff and our coaching staff, the process has been really good. A lot of people, the quarterback position is one where, you may have 10 really smart coaches or personnel folks watch the same cut up, and you might come away with 10 different opinions on a player, and that's why we have to spend a lot of time together. That's why we spend a lot of time with the players themselves and really envision not only, what they're going to be like as an NFL quarterback, but what are they going to be like as a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, if we're able to get one of these guys. So I think it's a great question, because that's really what this whole process is really all about, trying to figure out not only, what they're going to be as players, but what they're going to be here in our offense, in our system, in our building, developing for hopefully a long period of time, and trying to help guys, whoever we end up drafting, really at all positions. The goal is to help them reach, the highest potential version of themselves, and we do enough of that around our football team, we're going to be in good shape.
Why do you think teams miss so often in a top 10, even number one? And what's maybe the one trait that you are looking at, to avoid something like that?
Yeah, as far as I know, you can spend all year looking at the historical, aspect of when guys were picked, what worked, what didn't. First and foremost, I think you have to have confidence in what the opportunity is on your team. Not every team, not every quarterback. I know, not just speaking personally, but every quarterback goes to different environments, different systems, different organizations, and that path is not the same for every player. And the timeline of when they're kind of reaching their early peak of their, or at least their rookie contract, when it's so valuable to have a rookie because of, all the financial terms, that's one thing. But you also want to make sure that you're developing and doing what's best for the player. We just happen to have a really good situation, in my opinion, with the players we have in that huddle, the guys that are going to be coaching that player, and then ultimately what we hope is a long-term plan to try to have a really special player at the position. But all that can't happen without a daily process where you're attacking and understanding what you need to obviously get better at, how the NFL game may be different than what you've maybe accumulated a lot of reps at the college level, and what that system was like versus what we'll do. And then ultimately, I think it's our jobs as coaches to put together, regardless of what we think our offensive system is. We need to build a system that is quarterback friendly and for the player to reach his potential. But I think for me personally, it's just about looking at the traits that you kind of feel like are very, very important to have success in our offense. And I've talked about that before. Obviously the accuracy component is important. I think there's a level of mental and physical toughness to playing quarterback in the NFL. The very popular processing word and all of that, what that really means is, can they go out and function, distribute the football, snap in and snap out, take plays when they're there, occasionally create plays that aren't there, and they maybe can change a football game with either their arm talent or their athletic ability. I think there's a lot of ways you can look at different strengths of different players in the draft and say, you can make a pretty good projection that high quality quarterback play could be in their future. But there's a lot of work and time and effort that's got to go into it to help them get there.
Kevin, would it be safe to say that with your background and your offense that you might have a little bit more say on drafting the quarterback than maybe you would if it was a different position?
I think it definitely helps to know, a background of coaching different guys, different skill sets as a quarterback coach, as a coordinator, and then obviously now as a head coach and play caller. But I think it's still got to be a process because I'm learning things from, Kwesi and his staff, from Josh McCown, Grant Udinsky, Wes. When we have some of these conversations, sometimes the more information is obviously always what you're hunting because when you're making an evaluation of a player, you can have that first feel in a lot of ways positive on what they do well, and you can identify some things where you can start projecting coaching the player. So that's what this process has really allowed me to do, form some relationships with the guys, spend some time outside of this building visiting them and getting them on the grass and really starting to see how they respond to my coaching style, see how they respond to critical coaching points in our offense. And we can do that through this process. And it's been a really enjoyable one. I mean, every single time you get a chance to be around some of these guys, you get excited about possibilities and potential. But it is the draft, and we're not the only team that, may want to select one of these guys. So we're working through making sure we know the landscape of the whole class at that position as we are, many positions throughout the draft that we think we can help our team with.
Are you anticipating having Justin here for any of the offseason stuff?
Yeah, I don't. I'm really not anticipating whether taking it a day at a time. And I know I've had a lot of great dialogue with Justin throughout even the early part of this offseason and leading up. So my hope is we can get him around the team. He's obviously such a special player, but it goes beyond that, especially this time of year. Because of just the energy and the flat-out way he comes in when he's in this building and he goes to work and how his teammates respond to him. So want him here as much as we can have him, but also understand there's a lot of factors involved. And like I said, there's nobody I love having more around on a daily basis just because how he elevates others. Truly, special player.
Is he around this week?
He is not here today, but we'll – remains to be seen kind of what the rest of the program looks like. But really good turnout today from the guys. Just excited to get up in front of them and really get back to some foundational kind of things that are really important to us from a culture standpoint and football philosophy standpoint, and really start building this thing for the 2024 version of this team, which I'm very excited about.
Coach, what are some of the challenges in moving on from a quarterback like Kirk Cousins and then essentially having to adapt your play calling or offensive playbook for a new quarterback, a young quarterback?
Yeah, I think, having had to do it in a lot of ways in real time throughout the season, sometimes even in games, we got a head start on it a little bit last year, but I think we also learned just how we go about training the position, how we go about building our offensive system. The system, like I said, is very adaptable, and I think the layers that we can add to it and refine throughout the offseason for this year's version of our team will be the critical part.
Kevin, I know TJ's going to talk later, but just where is he at in his recovery?
Yeah, he's. I've been really excited for the way TJ's attacked the process. Really, since a very successful surgery and getting a chance to attack this thing, he's been daily improvement, and that's all we're really hunting right now. And he's back with Tyler and the guys, working through that process. We've had folks go visit him and check in, as well as I know he's been with some great folks outside of this building as well. So it's the combination of an understanding and knowing TJ's going to do everything in his power in many ways to get back as fast as possible. But it's a very special player for us and impactful for us, and we're going to be smart about it throughout the process. But having him here and having him around his teammates, he's one of our leaders, and he's still, he, as much as it sometimes feels like we've had him since day one, I think TJ is just excited to have another offseason with the guys and growing in this year's version of our team.
Running back and cornerback, those are obviously two very important positions, and the history that you've had with the injuries at the running back position, and even Aaron with his history, and cornerback. We haven't had much conversation about your plans for those areas.
Yeah, as far as running back and corner, we pretty darn excited to have Aaron part of our team. We've felt from the opposite sideline his impact on games, and I just know what he's been a part of as an offensive weapon in the run game and also the pass game is something that has always drawn me to him. And then you'll learn more about him. You meet him, the toughness, the intangibles. He's got that building changer type quality to him. So really excited to see him and Ty and the rest of our running backs go to work this offseason and really start building up what we're going to be as an offense. And then at the quarterback position, we've got some young players that we're still constantly coaching, and those guys are working like crazy to continue their development and growth, which I think we've got a lot of guys with their arrow up, pointing on continuing to grow, kind of whether it's into year 2 or year 3, whatever it is. And then you go out and get a guy like Shaq Griffin to pair with Byron kind of as the veteran presence in that room. And really what we're trying to find is when you're base defense, nickel defense, whether you have 2 or 3 corners on the field, we want guys that can flat out cover. And as far as the durability thing, how we practice, how we try to build up our team throughout the year, there's a plan to everything we do, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the off-season program. And then it carries over when we get going again in training camp. And we just try to prepare each and every position. It's not just those 2, but every position to try to withstand the rigors of 17 games. And that's really all we can do. And we feel strongly about there's a lot of smart people that give me a lot of great information on how we're going to build things. But in the end, my job is to get the football team ready to play. And that really starts, for a lot of these guys, it starts year-round. It never stops. But as a collective group, it starts really this morning.
Kevin, I don't know if we've asked you about the kicking spot since Greg Joseph left.
Yep.
Where are you guys at with that? Is that a draft possibility, or is that something post-draft? I know you have one already, but in terms of just kind of getting that depth chart set up.
Yeah, we added Romo to the mix, and obviously whether it is possibly a draft pick, Kevin, or post-draft, I think there's always that's a position where I look at it and really want to, hopefully a competitive situation, because I think especially that position, the place kicker, you find yourself, it's a pretty easy evaluation when you put 1 or 2 guys, competing against each other, possibly more. Where you can truly, put them in tougher situations, high-pressure situations, even in front of a training camp crowd, even in front of their teammates in the spring with some circumstances on making a kick or missing a kick. You can really start to see how guys respond, So I really do want to have a competitive situation, and I just think with how close games are in this league, and, I know everybody loves going for, 4th down conversions, as much as possible, but points are still a very, very important metric in a league as competitive as ours. And anytime you can feel confident putting somebody out there that they're going to, ring the bell and get you 3 points, that could be the difference in a game. I think it's critical.
So I'm sure this situation is really stressful. I remember a video last year during the draft process. Your son called you and said that all his players were getting drafted. How has he helped keep you loose during this process and keep it fun?
Yeah, we'll keep him out of it as much as possible. But no, I think it's, that's the nature of the draft, is you've got to evaluate as many players as I know I'd evaluate as many players as I possibly can that time allows. And it's not just offense, it's defense, it's getting with Flo and his staff. And really what I care most about is fit. Obviously the traits of the guys, whether they're picked first overall or they're a free agent after the draft, the traits that allow guys like an Ivan Pace to have the kind of impact he did a year ago, all the way up to Jordan Addison and the impact he had. It was our vision for the player, and then where they step foot on the grass, we can't go out there with them. So you got to have a real vision of what that player's role and responsibilities are going to be, and then you got to show them and teach them the techniques and fundamentals that help you do that. That's why, it never truly feels like the offseason is really going full bore until you get that draft class in there and you really start to see what your 90-man roster looks like. But yeah, the draft is, we're, as much as a lot of folks, want, all the information ahead of time and you feel like you wish you knew what team A, B, or C is going to go do, you really don't know. And that's why the draft is exciting for a, out-of-season event where we're just adding players to a team. It's critical for every team in this league to draft well, and it's a moving target a lot of times because you can't quite guarantee in many ways, who you're going to be able to select based upon who's available. So whether that's Caden, giving me a hard time about it, or any of you folks, it's going to be an exciting time for sure. And I think the best part about it is controlling the process the way that Kwesi has with the entire spring and the good things we did in free agency. Really impacted our team, I thought, and then ultimately we're going to have a chance to add some really good players to our team.
Thanks, everyone. Love Ryan today.
Thanks, guys.